So, oh yes, yes, wonderful, great. So in today's lecture, what we are going to do is that we are just going to start with the basic understanding. We are just going to start with the basic understanding of the subject, and we will cover the basic ideas that how we are going to cover this subject, right? And how we can. ठीक है, ठीक. No, no, wait, wait. I'll tell you later on. Don't worry. Right. So, and I'll also discuss with you the entire understanding of the subject. So, first of all, first of all, political science. Political science, as I told you earlier as well, political science, or yesterday as well, I explained to you, political science one of the most sought after subject for the entire UPSC syllabus, right? For the entire UPSC preparation, political science is one of the most sought after optional. The reason being its overlapping, the reason being its relevance in the current spectrum and in the relevance of UPSC preparation, as well as the relevance in the entire present spectrum of our country, right, and throughout the world. So because of these reasons, or because of the relevance of this subject, or because of the relevance that this enjoys, so it becomes very, very important, right? So a couple of students who have joined us today itself, so one doubt that many of the students have, that ki sir kya political science, that whether the political science is only or can only be taken or will be helpful for only those students who have political science background. The answer is absolutely no, right? Answer is absolutely no. It can be taken up by anyone, right? It can be taken by anyone, be it from any background, be from any educational background. You can take political science, you can opt for political science. There is no as such problem, right? There is no as such problem. You have no, or you should have no inhibition in opting for this particular optional in spite of your any political, any background, right? Any social, any background, any class, any educational background, no harm. You can opt for political science optional, and I assure you that this will be a lot more, or this will be helpful in, where this will be helpful in your GS, this will be helpful in your understanding of your subjects like your world history, like your polity, like your Indian foreign policy, and everywhere. So this will basically enhance your score, not just in optional, but also enhance your score in your GS preparation, right? So first things first, this is what I had to answer, because many students said or asked this question regarding that, sir, whether we can opt for it or not. So definitely you can opt for it. Now moving on to the subject. That what sources you need to refer, or what, how we need to understand this. So with regard to the sources, you go on internet, right? Internet is all about information explosion, right? So it is just like information explosion. You will get thousands and thousands of books. The people will say, sir, I read JC Jory. Someone will say, I read Baylis and Smith. Someone will say, I read that book, I read this book. So there will be a lot, or a buffet in front of you. So those buffets are irrelevant. Those buffets are irrelevant, because what is important is that you should have a single source note for your preparation, single source notes for your preparation, which shall be most of them handwritten by you, right? Most of them shall be handwritten, and most of them you should understand. That is what is most important in the journey of your optional. In the journey of your optional, that those notes should be well versed. You shall be well versed with those notes, and you shall understand those notes very significantly.
Yeah, group create करके अब
Just hold on, just hold on. Right. So yes, carrying forward. Sorry, carrying forward. So you can opt for, right? So you can go for the single source notes which will be provided to you in the class, and all alongside the booklets that I'll provide you, right? The PDFs that I'll provide you with of the booklets which have been compiled after reading extensively multiple books. An entire team sat behind that, and those books have been prepared just for the sake that it is easier for you to understand the optional subject, right? So moving to the optional, and just not beating around the bush and getting into the sources and everything. So we'll start with the optional, and first of all we will start our subject with the most important portion of the subject, or the most important portion of your optional. If you understand this portion of your optional, or if you understand this portion of your optional, your 70% of option is done. And I'm telling you for fact, I'm telling you for surety, right? 70% of your optional will be done. There you go. Many people ask you, sir, in political science there are two papers. One is paper 1 and paper 2, right? Paper 1 and paper 2. So this paper 1, in paper 1 there is Indian government and politics, that talks about just your constitution or polity part. So this Indian government and politics, or your constitution part, is kind of similar to your GS. The federalism will not change, but just we will add certain points into this understanding of federalism. Like we will add those ideas like think commentators, and what I do is that I give those commentators to the students, right? You need not find those commentators even by yourself, or you need not find commentaries by yourself. What I do is that I prepare the notes and I give it to the students, that in federalism add this commentary, in secularism add this commentary, everything will be provided. Rest concepts remain the same, right? There is no problem in the concepts will remain the same. There will be no issue in that concept, right? Thank you. There will be no issue in that concept. Yes, Diksha, the concepts will remain the same. The notes of GS will be helpful. And alongside those notes in optional, it will be basically a value addition to your notes. So you will be benefited in this optional as well as for your GS. So you have an edge, and that is for sure. And in paper 2 there is Indian foreign policy. In Indian foreign policy, the relation between India and Afghanistan will not change, right? Be it you studying GS or be it you are studying optional, the India-Afghanistan relation will not change. India-Afghanistan relation will continue to remain same, right? Or India-US relationship will continue to remain same. India-China relationship will continue to remain same. So these relationships will not change, sir. These relationships will not change. What we need to understand is that these relationships will not change, but what is there is that just the commentaries will be added. And again what will be done is again that those commentaries I will provide you in the class. So you need not even find those commentaries will be again provided you in the class. So you just have to follow that, and that will be it, right? Just a minute. There are some students who are consistently calling that they are unable to join. So just give me 1 minute. Just give me 1 minute. They are consistently calling. So just give me 1 minute. I'll send them to the team. I'll divert the calls to the team. Right. So great. Thank you for cooperation. Diksha, you drop me a WhatsApp, I'll show it there, right? So don't worry. The notes are foolproof, Diksha, don't worry about that. Notes are foolproof, don't worry about that. You just rely, because concepts are important, right? Conceptual clarity is important. Rather than just focusing on the notes, conceptual clarity is very important because it is analytical, right? Anyone who has an analytical bent of mind, they can go through this optional very well. So don't worry. right? Because in Indian government and politics you will study in GS, this will also you study in GS, but what will be difference is your analysis of those subjects or analysis of those ideas. So those analysis can be helpful in your GS, so in your optional as well as in your GS, so your scope will expand, right Diksha? So moving on, so we'll move on to the we'll move on to other ideas. So if we talk about the stream or the subject of political science, so when we talk about the subject of political science, Prachi, this will be the only batch as of now. This will be the only batch for this year. Yes, anonymous attendee, at UPSC will not change everything in one day. Diksha, obviously, the class notes will be different and the printed material will be different. So all these doubts I'll take in the end, right? Don't worry, all these doubts I'll take in the end. Just be patient, and first let us start with the subject, right? First be patient, let us start with the subject, and I'll take all these doubts in the end. So don't worry at all. Don't worry at all. I'll take all these doubts in the end. Right. So when we talk about political science, the first thing that we need to begin, Diksha, I explained this in the last lecture, yesterday's lecture I explained them. Oppo, I'll tell you the difference, don't worry. I'll take all these doubts in the end, right? I'll just be patient and work and we can move ahead. I'll share the slides. I told you yesterday as well that if anyone who wants that, they can drop me a WhatsApp. I'll share the yesterday's slides with you as well. So many of the students dropped me a WhatsApp and I shared those slides with them. So if anyone wants those slides, you drop me a WhatsApp. I'll share those slides, don't worry. No, Oppo, that will not be sufficient. The reason being, first of thing is that the classes will not in a systematic manner. These classes will be in a systematic manner. You will get the class notes, you will get the test series, you will get the booklets. So there will be a lot of additions, right? There will be commentaries, there will be additions. So the pattern and the process will be entirely different, right? Last year as well, there was also a course that was running simultaneously at that point, what you are asking, right? So when we talk about political science, the first and the foremost understanding that is required in this subject is of one particular idea which basically covers your 70%, or which will make you understand about the 70% of your syllabus. That is the topic of thinkers and theory. And this topic, many of the aspirants find it difficult to understand this topic. The reason being because they do not understand the concepts. So I will make sure that you understand each and every concept of this particular topic, because this will build a base not just for your optional but also for your SS and GS. You will drop me a message, I'll tell you there, right? So I will explain you these thinkers and the understandings of sorry, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. So I'll explain you about these ideas of thinkers and thought, which is one of the most or the most important subject or the most important component of your optional syllabus. So in this thinkers and theory, what we'll basically be starting with, we will be starting with this understanding of that what is the idea of thought. What is the idea of thought and theory? How it developed, and then we will move to Western political thought. Today I'll be starting with Western political thought itself, right? So today's lecture will be very, very important for your syllabus or for your optional. So be patient and continue, right? Be patient and attend. I assure you that today, by the end of the lecture, many of you will start understanding the concept of Plato and start understanding the concept of Greek philosophy. So I'll make sure that you understand the concept of Greek philosophy, or you understand the idea of Plato today itself. So be patient and let us continue. Right. So in this idea, or in this idea of political science, first thing that comes to our mind, that when we talk about political science, I'll take those doubts in the end. Poco, wait, I'll take those doubts later on. Just wait, just attend as of now. So when we talk about the area of political science, or when we talk about the understanding of political science, so many things come to in our mind. So first of all, when we hear this idea of political science, so first thing comes to our mind is the word of science. That is it originally a science? Is it a science or not? Right? Because many people say that, oh, it is a political science, so is it science? So the idea is that science attached to the understanding of political science is misnomer, right? So why it is a misnomer? Why the word political is attached to it? What is the idea behind the word political? What is the understanding behind the word political, or from where this idea of political comes? What is the background of this word political? We need to understand that as well, because unless someone will come to you and say that this is political science, sir, what is the meaning of word political? What is the idea behind the word political? That you should also know. So the idea of the word political, or the idea of the word political, comes from the Greek word. The idea of the word political comes from the Greek word. It comes from the Greek word, and what is the Greek word? That is, the Greek word means polis. Now you consider that polis basically is known as city states. So the entire understanding of the political science, or the entire understanding of the scope of political science, revolves around the understanding of state, or the understanding of city state. So the core area, or the most important area of the study of political science, is the study of state. That is why many thinkers have said, or many thinkers have explained, that be it any discipline, be it public administration, be it sociology, be it your geography, each and every subject or each and every discipline comes after political science, because none of the discipline can survive without the understanding of state. Because in for example, in public administration, you consider that they talk about the administration, or they talk about the governance. किसकी गवर्नेंस की बात कर रहे हैं? स्टेट की गवर्नेंस की. So idea of state crops from the idea of political science. In sociology, they talk about society, they talk about culture of a particular region. So the culture or the society of particular region, the way they behave, the way they eat, the way they survive, it is attached to that particular area. So the understanding of the state is significant for the establishment of any discipline. So the political science emerges, or the political science revolves around the field of state. So when we say, as for example, it is solar system. In solar system, the sun is the center. Everything revolves around the sun. Similarly is the state in the concept of political science. Everything revolves around the concept of state in political science. So the understanding of state is very important, because this idea of political science revolves around, or as it says, that it begins and ends with the conception of state. It begins or it ends with the conception of state. It begins or it ends with the conception of state. So when we say that it begins and ends with the conception of state, right? So in this understanding of state, that the state basically, or around the state, there are a lot of debates. Around the state, there are a lot of debates. Some people say that the state is organic by nature. Some people say that the state is organic by nature. Right, that state was always there. This is a continuous debate. जैसे there is a debate, there always goes around a debate that कि अंडा पहला है मुर्गी, right? कि पहले क्या आया? What came first, the egg or अंडा या मुर्गी, right? So that debate always continues, right? Similarly is the debate of state. Similarly is the debate of state in political science, that continues forever. And that debate of political science that has continued forever is basically that whether the state is organic, that whether the state is natural, or whether the state is artificial. Right? For example, Aristotle, or the Greek philosophy of Aristotle belonged to this school of thought where they said that state is organic by nature. Aristotle gave a very wonderful statement. He said the individual who does not need a state is either a god or a beast. That means he is not a human. Can you tell me, please respond in yes or no, can you survive without state? Yes or no? Everyone, you have 100 of around you are sitting here. Can you survive with the state, without the state? No, right? So all of you agree that you cannot survive without the state. So the understanding of state comes from this. So they say that organic state is there, that is natural. So Aristotle said that if you or if any human does not find or says that he can survive without the state, he is either a superhuman or a subhuman. That is, he is either a god or a beast. Right? Superhuman god, subhuman beast, and already a discrimination, right? And already a discrimination, but yes. Then came the constructs of artificial state, right? Artificial state, that the state can be constructed. The state is constructed, it did not exist naturally, right? For example, Hobbes, Locke, they said that we will construct a state via contract. We will construct a state via a contract. So this debate regarding the state, that whether the state is natural or whether the state is artificial, continues throughout. So this kind of problem or this kind of debate, we will also analyze it further, and this becomes a very important component of our optional or political science optional, right? So then comes this idea that whenever we talk about state, we need to talk about the understanding of governance of the state. Governance of the state or administration of the state. So this governance or administration of the state has to be always in the favor of people. In the favor of people. So now when we talk about that the administration of the state has to be in the favor of the people or for the betterment of the people, but are all the administrators in the world as of now as well, not in the ancient times, but as of now as well, you tell me that are all the administrators in the world elected by the consent of people? You tell me yes or no? No, very good, right? No, because all the administrators are not elected as per the consent of the people. The reason being why all administrators are not elected as per the consent of the people is basically some are dictators. For example, North Korea. Dictatorship is continuing in North Korea. Right, dictatorship is continuing in North Korea. So this problem continues. Then there was recently a news of Belarus. Recently a news of Belarus, right? So in Belarus there is a dictator, so he is not elected as per the will of the people. In China, Xi Jinping, right? Xi Jinping or Xi Jinping is the president until he dies. Vladimir Putin of Russia is the president up till 2036. Right? He is the president until 2036. So whether he will survive until 2036, no one knows. But yes, he is the president. So everywhere it is not the same, that the rulers are not elected as per the will of the people. But when you talk about the understanding of political science, what is important in the understanding of political science is that for every political scientist, it is important that the state should run in a manner, or state should function in a manner that it should work for the betterment of the people. It should work for the betterment of the people, right? So this started during the time of Plato. That Plato said that the rulers have to be for working for the betterment of the people, or the rulers have to be working for the betterment of the people. So every thinker, right from Plato, Aristotle, Marx is different, right? Marx is a very contrasting personality. I'll tell you why. Hobbes, Locke, Hannah Arendt, everyone is talking about this idea that there shall be good governance. Marx is different. Leave Marx out. Leave Marx out. I'll tell you why we are leaving Marx out here. Right? Marx is one of the most amazing personality, and I'll make sure yeah, that every year, sir, there is a question that UPSC asks from Marx, sorry. आजकल COVID है ना, due to COVID, Marx becomes Marx. Right? Marx become mask. Right? Green screen कर दूं? Is this screen not fine? Green में there is a reflection, there will be more brightness in green. There will be more brightness in the green. ग्रीन में ना रिफ्लेक्शन पड़ जाती है यार. दास जी, मिस्टर दास, ग्रीन में रिफ्लेक्शन होती है यार. राइट? सो मुझे भी थोड़ा ना, जो आप लोगों के कमेंट्स आ रहे हैं, जो आंसर्स आ रहे हैं ना, दैट विल बी हिंड्रेंस फॉर मी टू चेक. Right? So what can be done is that, so all these thinkers want that there should be betterment for the administration or the betterment for the people. So entire political thought, why I am telling you this, that every thinker wants this, because the entire political thought, be it of Plato, be it of Aristotle, be it of Hobbes, be it of Locke, be it of Rousseau, be it of Mill, be it of Bentham, be it of Anna Ardent, revolves around one thing. So it revolves around the understanding that there should be establishment of good governance, and which kind of good governance, which shall be in the favor or the betterment of the people, which shall be in the favor or the betterment of the people. So any such thing, any such idea is that is working in this particular theory. Now when I have talked about, or when I'm explaining about political thought, I said that entire political thought is functioning or is working on the basis or for the understanding of good governance. So when I say political thought, so the thing strikes in your mind that what is political thought? So thing strikes in your mind that what is political thought? Before mentioning that what is political thought, write down a couple of lines. Write down a couple of lines which shall make things easier for you. Write down a couple of lines. The term politics, comes from Greek word polis. Greek word polis P-O-L-I-S, polis, P-O-L-I-S, which means city state, Hence the entire conception of, next point, hence the entire conception of political science, revolves around, the core of state. Revolves around the core of state. Yes, Shweta, the last lectures are available on YouTube, right? The yesterday's webinar is available on YouTube, which is about counseling, right? So Shweta, you can drop me a WhatsApp as well, so I'll tell you. I'll share the link with you, don't worry. right? In the end of the class, I will tell you my phone number, so you can drop me a WhatsApp. I'll share the link with you of that webinar. Don't worry, Shweta. Right. Next, write down next point. Write down next point. The entire political thought functions around the understanding. The entire political thought functions around the understanding of good governance. Diksha 5 p.m. revolves around good governance. Right. So first, then question comes to our mind that what is political thought? So thought basically is understood with the idea. Thought is understood with this idea that thought is the understanding, or thought is the situation, or thought is understood with the concerned time and space, right? For example, if there was Plato was writing as per his own time and space. Aristotle was writing as per his own time and space. Dr. B.R. Ambedkar was writing as per his own time and space. Mahatma Gandhi was writing as per his own time and space, and you will be writing as per your own time and space. So the understanding of thought is dependent upon the understanding that the entire process of thought, or the entire process of the individual, देखो ना, thought is basically the mind of the individual. Thought is basically the soch of the individual, what he thinks, what he wants and what he thinks. And you will think according to the situation that is prevailing around you. You will think according to the situation that is existing around you, right? So you will think according to the situation around you. For example, if I today talk to you about healthcare, you will talk about, or you will say कि sir, the healthcare requires curative model, right? It should not function, or preventive model, that it should not function on cure, that what will happen afterwards, but what it should focus on, that how to stop. Are you getting my point? So you shall think that it shall concentrate on how to stop. So that is as of now. If some that we can say that if, for example, in future another pandemic comes, then we should have option, etc., etc. But if we ask the people of 50 years or 100 years back, none of them would have thought about the present situation. Are you getting my point? So their thought process would have been different. Our thought process would have been different depending upon the circumstances, depending upon the situation that we exist and live. The situation that we exist, the situation that we live in. So the entire idea of the thought is as per the situation, as per the circumstance. So in thought, what we say, that the thought is understood. Thought is understood with reference to the time and space. With reference to the time and space. Ki at what time you are living, at what time you are understanding, at what time you are witnessing. So that is considered to be a thought. For example, if we consider thought in political science, we say that there is Western political thought and there is Indian political thought. There is Western political thought and there is Indian political thought. So sir, Western political thought cannot be summarized into one understanding. Western political thought also can be divided into multiple ideas depending upon the age. You can say that there is an ancient Western political thought. Ancient Western political thought, and this political thought is dependent upon Greek. Then you can say that then came the medieval political thought. Right? On the end of this medieval political thought came Machiavelli. Then you can say, then came the modern political thought. In modern political thought, we read the thinkers like Mill, we read the thinkers like Marx. They all are modern political thought, or there is a modern political thought. Then you can say, then there is even a contemporary political thought. In this contemporary political thought, we read the thinkers like, in this contemporary political thought, we read the thinkers like Anna Ardent. Anna Ardent, we read Anna Ardent, we read Amartya Sen, we read John Rawls. So these all are contemporary political scientists. These all are contemporary political thoughts, because the idea of justice of Plato will be different from the idea of justice of Amartya Sen, because Plato was living in the time of ancient Greek. He is the student of Socrates, and he is the student of Socrates, and he is the, what we say, Jasmine, just wait, I'll take the doubts in the end. Right, he is the student of Socrates and he is the teacher of Aristotle, and Aristotle is the teacher of Alexander the Great. So you are seeing that idea of justice of Plato cannot be same as the idea of justice of Amartya Sen or idea of justice of Rawls, because the time and space has changed. Now you think that the thought, that the opinions or the thought of Aristotle and Plato are different, right? From Plato borrows Aristotle, but Aristotle also criticizes or reforms Plato. It is said that Plato's biggest critique was his biggest follower, or Plato's biggest follower was his biggest critique. His biggest follower was his favorite student Aristotle, and his biggest critique was his favorite student Aristotle. That is the beauty of thought. That is the beauty of political thought, that it depends upon the time and space that it lives in, and it depends upon the situation that the people exist in. Right. So that is the understanding of political thought. So when we talk about political thought, we say that this is different. Now, in Indian political thought also there is same, that there is ancient Indian political thought like Manu Smriti, Dharma Shastras. These are ancient Indian political thoughts. Then comes the medieval political thought. In this medieval political thought, there is also Hindu political thought, there is Islamic political thought, right? There is Jain political thought. So those political thoughts are also there. Then there is modern political thought, like, right, that is during the time of British came the modern political thought. For example, B.R. Ambedkar, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, right? B.R. Ambedkar, Mahatma Gandhi, all of them belong to modern political thought. Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, all of them belong to modern political thought. So, so this modern political thought is there. Now in India also we have contemporary political thought. Like Pratap Bhanu Mehta, C. Raja Mohan, contemporary political thought. Your Yogendra Yadav, contemporary political thought. Ashutosh Varshini, contemporary political thought. And I am not telling you some big names. I am telling you those names which you can find in newspapers. That is the beauty of political science, that people say, sir, political science is vast. No, it is not vast. Political science can be understood, or the commentaries which I will give you in the class, you don't have to worry for anything. You just have to listen, sit in the class, listen to what I am saying, write what I am telling you. You need not worry about anything. I will provide you with the commentaries. Even I will provide you with the contemporary commentaries of the likes of Pratap Bhanu Mehta, C. Raja Mohan. Everything is my assurance that have trust on me. You can ask my previous students. I provide them everything. That is why I say that you need to understand them as well. So this is contemporary political thought. So the political thought, be it Indian, be it Western, be it Islamic, be it Hindu, be it of any type, or be it of Central Asia, any political thought, sir, depends upon the idea of what we say is that time and space. Yes or no? Do you have any doubt with regard to political thought? Basic understanding of political thought. No, Diksha, I will tell you which you have to learn, which you have to remember. Great. So, moving on. Now, when we move from thought, now many political thinkers, they write, for example, Plato gave his thought. Within Plato's thought, there are various theories, right? Plato gave the theory of justice, Plato gave the theory of education, Plato gave the theory of, political system, etc., etc. So there are various theories that Plato gave. Similarly, when I told you about Amartya Sen, I said that there are various theories of Amartya Sen. I said that Amartya Sen talks about theory of justice. Now, Amartya Sen's thought is different, but within his thought there are theories. So what is this idea of theory? How thought and theory are different? Now let me tell you that how thought and theory are different. That what is now, sir, political theory. Now, political theory is basically part of each and every discipline. Political theories are part of each and every discipline, but the purpose of what is the idea behind this political theory? What is the purpose behind this political theory? The idea behind this political theory is explanation of a phenomena. Explanation of a explanation of a political phenomena. The purpose behind every political theory is the explanation of a political phenomena. For example, if I say that Plato gave the understanding of ideal state, right? Plato gave the understanding of ideal state, or Plato gave the understanding of education, or Dr. Ambedkar gave the understanding of caste system, Rawls gave the understanding of justice, Anna Ardent gave the understanding of totalitarianism, Karl Marx gave the understanding of communism. All these ideas are nothing but the theories given by the thinker. They are trying to explain a particular political phenomena on the basis of that or the theory that they construct. So thought is a wider perspective, and within that thought, the particular individual who is giving you the thought is trying to explain to you a particular phenomena attached to that thought. Are you getting my point? For example, Aristotle, I gave you the example of what we say is Plato. Plato gave the theory of justice. Now, the thought of Plato is wider, and within that thought of Plato, there is one theory, that is the theory of justice. And in that theory of justice, sir, Plato explained the entire concept or conception of justice. So, one explanation of a political phenomena is considered to be the concept of political theories. And within the political theories, there can be different kinds of political theories. One kind of political theories are philosophical by nature, right? The political theories can be philosophical by nature, right? And most of the political theories are philosophical by nature. That is why political science is not a science, sir. Right? That is why what I was telling you in the initial, I was telling you that is it a science? The answer is no. Reason, because maximum of the theories of political science are philosophical by nature. Maximum of the theories of political science are philosophical by nature. The reason being why they are philosophical by nature is because it is dependent upon the time and space they are constructed, right? Because you can do experiments on substances, you can do experiments on substances, you can do experiments on objects, like you can do experiment with H2SO4 sulfuric acid, you can do experiment with HNO3, right? Diksha, I'll tell you, don't worry. You can do the experiment on HNO3 nitric acid, but can you do experiment on human beings, right? No, you cannot do experiment with human beings. Can you eternalize what human beings are thinking? No, you cannot. You cannot record. As of now, you are understanding political science. You may be feeling happy, right? But once the class ends, you may feel sad ki why the class has ended. That is self-praise that I am doing of myself, right? So once the class ends, you may feel ki yes sir, we wanted to continue, etc., etc. So what is there is that your emotion is different at one point of time, your emotion is different at another point of time. Just today itself in the evening, you may feel that, oh, the weather outside is wonderful, so you may feel happy, or the weather is outside is bad, you may feel gloomy. So the emotion changes. So in the understanding of political science, maximum of the theories are philosophical by nature, because they are working on the sides of human emotions or human ideas, right? But some also are scientific by nature. Very few are scientific by nature, and they are claimed by the political scientists as well, right? For example, there are certain scientific theories, because whether the theory is philosophical or scientific, it depends upon the methodology adopted by the theorist. For example, I am telling you that you cannot have any kind of scientific observation, or you cannot have any kind of, scientific experiment on the concept of justice or equality or liberty, etc., etc. You cannot have any kind of political or scientific experiment on these ideas, but you can have experiments, or you can have data for electoral behavior, that which caste voted for whom, that which political party got maximum number of votes, which individual was favored by the people. You can have data or scientific observations for these things. So the understanding of science, or the understanding of scientific ideas, is based on the methodology. Because when you talk about electoral behaviors, I'm giving you one example. When you talk about electoral behaviors, then you have the data to verify it. You have the data to verify it. So it depends upon the methodology that you are adopting. You are adopting to improvise, or to explain, or to explain, or to tell your theory. So the idea behind the theory being scientific or philosophical is methodology that you are adopting. So if you are adopting philosophical methodology, then your theory will become philosophical. If you are adopting scientific methodology, then your theory will become scientific. So this basically is a kind of a difference between methodologies of science and your, what we say is, philosophy. So when we talk about political philosophy, right? So I use the word political philosophy, that philosophical theories are also there. So when I use, or when we talk about political philosophy, what we can understand about political philosophy is that political philosophy and political theory many times are used interchangeably. Many times political philosophy and political theory are used interchangeably, right? Because the understanding is that political theory, साउंड नहीं आ रहा है क्या दिव्यश्री? Am I audible to everyone? Right, great. Divyashri, if I am not audible, kindly check your connection. Divyashri. Kindly check your connection. So, moving on, what I was saying, that political philosophy and political theory can be used interchangeably. The reason being that the theory depends upon the methodology. If your methodology is philosophical, then it also can become political philosophy. So there is no as such difference between political philosophy and political theory. For example, I told you about the theory of justice of Plato. Theory of justice of Plato. So the theory of justice of Plato is based on the philosophical understanding, So the theory of justice of Plato becomes a political philosophy as well. So there is no as such distinction, or no as such difference between the understanding of political philosophy and political theory. Right. Apurva, I'll take your doubts later on. Don't worry. I'll take your doubts later on, Apurva. Right. So the political theory and political philosophy are used interchangeably. But now comes a question which has been asked by many, and even by UPSC as well, that is political science a science? That I was telling you earlier as well. So when there is a scientific explanation, or when there is a chance of verification, sir, when there is a political explanation, or when there is a chance of scientific verification, you can say that it is a political science. But yes, you have to defend as well, because that is your stream, that is your discipline. That is political science a science? You have to defend itself, that is political science a science, right? Because you have to defend, it is your discipline. So political science is a science can be understood with the idea that there are multiple theories which say that political science is a science, and some say that political science is not a science, because the application of science the application of science is limited in scope, but there are certain theories in which there can be verification or in which there can be falsification, that you can verify or falsify on the basis of the data that is available to you. On the basis of the data that is available to you, you can verify it. So that can be decided, or that can be describing about the, or that you can describe about it being a science. Moreover, it has been established as a systematic study. So when we say that it has been established as a systematic study, we can say that it is a science, because the establishment of any systematic study, the establishment of any systematic study in the understanding of political phenomena can be considered to be a science. So you need to defend it as well, that this kind of political phenomena has been developed, or this kind of political phenomena has developed, the reason being that it can be considered to be a science. Are you getting my point? So this is basically the understanding that what is political philosophy, what is political theory, and what is political science. Right? Any doubt up till here? Anyone? Yes or no? Please respond. Yes or no? Any doubt up till here? Anyone? Great. Great. So moving on. So when we talk about when we talk about Western political thought, so from here we will move to political thought. Right, from here we will move to political thought, and we will talk about Western political thought at first. Very, very important idea, very, very important, or the one of the most important part of your syllabus, Western political thought. Because in Western political thought, half of the things about your syllabus you will clear. Right, you will be clear with the ideologies, you will be clear with the theories, you will be clear about what we consider to be your basic understandings of the entire stream. You will be clear about the basic understandings of the entire stream. Right? जिन्होंने हाथ खड़ा किया दो जानों ने, I'll take your doubts later on. Don't worry. So I'll take your doubts. So just relax. Political science repeat कर दूं. Political science में मैंने क्या बताया? Why it is considered to be a political science? Because of the systematic study, right? If you want Soumya, you can. If you want to write what I am writing on the board, that is completely your choice, right? It is good if you can write it, right? But remember one thing, that while writing, you should not basically be completely concentrating towards writing and not listening what I am saying, right, Soumya? So when I was telling that why political science is a science, because in political science we have certain theories of which we can do systematic classifications or verifications, right? You have the data to prove certain things. So for that you can say that political science is a science, and moreover there is a systematic study of theories on the basis of data we have accumulated, that can also be considered to be a science. हाँ करवाऊंगा dictate, सब करवाऊंगा dictate बलराज, don't worry, I'll dictate it as well. As of now, today I am just giving the basic introduction, or today just I am giving you the basic idea that in how many dimensions or what you can think or understand, right? So I'll dictate it everything, don't worry, I'll dictate everything. So moving to the Western political thought, so the Western political thought is dependent, or Western political thought is dependent on multiple ideas, right? Western political thought is dependent on multiple ideas. And when we say that Western political thought is dependent on multiple ideas, we say that there are different streams in Western political thoughts. There are different streams in Western political thoughts. What are the streams in Western political thoughts? Yes, I told you earlier as well. That the theme of ancient Western political thought, theme of medieval, theme of modern, theme of contemporary. And in this contemporary political thought, in this contemporary political thought, there are various understandings, right? In this contemporary political thought, there are postmodern theories or theorists. There is post-colonialism. There is feminism. Feminism is all no doubt an older theory as well, but it has emerged especially in the contemporary times, right? Is India a post-colonial state? Yes or no? Everyone tell me, is India a post-colonial state? Right? So India is a post-colonial state. So being post-colonial state, India's ideas are different, or the problems of India or the issues of India are different as compared to the West. So in the contemporary times, there are theories which explain that what are the post-colonial understandings and how these post-colonial understandings have to be understood. Are you getting my point? So this also has to be understood with respect to the post-colonial states. Right? So this basically has to be understood in the post-colonial states or post-colonial perspectives as well. So when we talk about the present system, or when we talk about the initiation of the Western political thought, we will start with the ancient system that primarily represents the idea of Greek thought. That primarily represents the idea of Greek thought. During the time of Greece, during the time of Greek thought, or during the time of ancient political thought, right? During the time of ancient political thought, the most important unit, or at that time the states were very small in nature, right? The states were very small in nature. They were not big states, they were not huge states. The states were very small in nature, or the states were very small in size. So at that point of time, we used to say, or it used to be said, that the basic form was of city-states. So city-states, sir, city-states was a very small kind of a state, and it was kind of a decentralized model of functioning. It was kind of a decentralized model of functioning. So there were not a large states, there were not big states like of present time, but there were small states, what we consider to be a city states at that point of time. So the Greek thought primarily revolves around the understanding of this particular city states, or the concept of city states. And in this concept of ancient political thought, the ancient political thought can be divided into, most importantly, or revolves around Greek political thought. And in this Greek political thought, there are three very important thinkers, right? First is Socrates, second is Plato, and third is Aristotle. Right? Second is Plato and third is Aristotle. So in your syllabus, there are two thinkers, that are Plato and Aristotle, right? Plato and Aristotle are the part of your syllabus. So Socrates is just a background. Socrates is just a background, which I'll explain you while we are discussing Plato. So when we need to discuss about Plato and Aristotle, what we need to understand, sir, primarily is even the background of Socrates. So in Socrates, I'll explain you Socrates when I'll explain you Plato as well, but for Socrates you need to understand that why such Greek way of life, or why such Greek thinking established or developed at that point of time. You need to understand that at that point of time, that how the society, because we are talking about thought, we are talking about thought. Now what I told you in thought is that the thought is a reflection of time and space. Right, I told you earlier as well that thought is the reflection of time and space. So for that time and space, we need to understand that what was, or in which kind of situation Plato and Aristotle were living, what Aristotle and Plato were watching, what was the thought of time and space at that point of time, and that will reflect the thought or the theories of Plato and Aristotle. Right, that will reflect the thought and theories of Aristotle. So in the Greek ideas, when we talk about Plato and Aristotle, so in the Plato and Aristotle, so Plato was the first thinker ever to explain or to explain the understanding of state as we discuss or as we understand in present manner. Plato was the first thinker ever to explain the understanding of state as we discuss in the modern times. Right? He talked about the understanding of state. He talked about the establishment of the state. He talked even about the governance of the state. So he was the first thinker of modern of political thought who wrote and explained the idea of state. Whereas Aristotle, who is the student of Plato, is considered to be the father of political science. Right? Is considered to be the father of political science. So the student of Aristotle, who is considered to be a father of political science, is basically more of pragmatic and realistic by thought or nature. Right? Plato is more of philosophical. By nature, and Aristotle is more of pragmatic or practical. What is the reason behind this? Is that Plato's books or Plato's ideas are reflection or primarily the reflection of what his master used to think. Right? What his master used to think. So via Plato, what we come to know is basically the understanding of Greek idea. He talks about from the mouth of Socrates. Plato wrote a book, wonderful book by the name of The Republic. His entire book, The Republic, is the reflection of his Socratic thought. Right? He made Socrates the center or the hero of his book. Like for example, tomorrow you write a book, right? After a certain point of time you write a book, and you all being my student, you make me the center of your book. I am the narrator of your book. I am the hero of your book. That is what Plato did. Plato made Socrates the hero of his book. That is that much how he was influenced by Socrates. Right? That was how he was so much influenced by Socrates that he entirely he wrote his best book keeping Socrates as the center of his book. Right? So political, as I was saying, that he was more philosophical by nature. That is the reason that it is considered that Plato is the father of political philosophy. Plato is the father of political philosophy, whereas Aristotle is the father of political science. Whereas he is the father of political science. So at the time they were writing, why we say that he was philosophical by nature and he was pragmatic and practical by nature? Because of the way they wrote and because of the way they realized the situation. The way they wrote, we can make out that which one is more philosophical and which one is more practical. I'll explain you why we are saying this. Because at the time they were writing, or what was the feature of the Greek society? Feature of Greek society at that point of time was that Greek society was discriminatory at that point of time. Discriminatory. Women were not considered equally. There was a concept of masters and slaves. So the Greek society was discriminatory, and there was concept of master and slave. There was no equality that was prevailing in Greek society. In spite of all these considerations, Plato tried to explain, or Plato tried to create such an ideal state where there is equality. He did not consider any kind of equality, discrimination with regard to women. He did not consider any kind of discrimination with regard to slaves. He even talked about emancipation of women. Plato even talks about emancipation of women to a certain extent. That is why UPSC has asked you a question that was Plato the first feminist? UPSC asked this question that was Plato the first feminist? The reason why UPSC asked this question that why was Plato the first feminist, the idea behind that was that Plato tried to explain or create a state. Plato tried to explain or create a state wherein the women were considered equally, or the women were considered at an equal parallels or equal platform, right? And if we talk about political, if we talk about Aristotle, Aristotle realized something. What did Aristotle realize? Aristotle realized something, and what did Aristotle realize? Aristotle said that the state cannot change in a blink of eye. You cannot change the state in a single day, right? Aristotle said that you cannot change in the state in a single day, and he was aware that he was aware about certain things. He was aware, Aristotle was aware about the necessities and about the needs of the society. Aristotle realized, now look at, understand this, very important. Aristotle realized that slaves are the backbone of Greek economy. You cannot come out on a single day, or you cannot come out on one day and say that eliminate slavery. You cannot come out and say that, oh, there shall be no discrimination against women. So this thing does not happen in a go, right? This thing does not happen. Shreya, I'll tell you. Shreya, don't worry, I'll tell you when we'll discuss communism of wives and properties. I'll discuss when you will, what was the intention behind Plato's theory of communism, wives and properties was emancipation of women, not discrimination. Ultimately it led to discrimination, but the intention was different, right? So what did Aristotle realize? Aristotle realized that slavery is a backbone of Greek economy. You cannot remove slavery in one day. Aristotle realized that women are required for family service or family support, so you cannot create a state, or you cannot create a situation where you can say that women will be considered equal from as of now. So Aristotle realized this idea, and Aristotle, that is why, did not eliminate all these errors or did not eliminate all the discriminations at one go. So what did Aristotle do? Aristotle accepted slavery. Aristotle accepted slavery, and he even treated in his theories women as second class citizens, and he is criticized for these two things a lot. In the modern times, he is criticized for these two things a lot, that how can a theorist like Aristotle accept slavery? But sir, he was smart, even he was practical enough, right? He was practical enough, he was smart enough. For example, you are preparing today, ठीक है, आज आप prepare कर रहे हो, can you understand everything in a good day? Not at all, not possible, right? That is why we give you 2 demo lectures as well, so that you can understand and you can realize everything, that how we are going to teach you. So the understanding is that when we say that you cannot get everything in one go, Aristotle realized that is what is pragmatism, that is what is practicality, that is what is how to use the brain. So Aristotle said that you cannot change everything, because the society depends on these ideas, the family depends on these ideas. If we say, he said that if I take away women from the family, how the family will be supported, how the family will grow, who will take care of the family if I take away women out of the family? So what did Aristotle do? Rather, Aristotle provided a much better way. Aristotle, rather than just saying, Plato just said कि discrimination हटा दो, equality हो जाएगी. Aristotle ने ऐसा नहीं करा. Aristotle rather provided a much better way, where he provided the option for emancipation of slavery. Emancipation of slaves. He provided a system that if the slave develops intellectually, if the slave develops intellectually and the master says or considers that the slave can be a useful contributor, then the slave can be set free. So what he provided, what Plato missed, was provided by Aristotle. So many people say that Aristotle is a critic of Plato, and the answer is absolutely yes. But many or all the thought of Aristotle is picked from Plato, and you will realize that the Western political thought, not just Plato, but many or all the Western political thought is picked from Plato. That is why there is a famous statement, which is even a question that has been asked by UPSC, and I'll tell you how to write when once we are done with the Plato, in the last of Platonic, last day when we'll do Plato, I'll tell you one thing, one question that UPS is even asked in the syllabus in your previous year, that entire Western political thought is the footnote of Plato. One question is this, one way of asking the question is this. This has been asked by UPSC. Second way of asking the question, which has also been asked by UPSC, is that Western political thought can be either Platonic or anti-Platonic, but cannot be non-Platonic. These are the two questions that have been asked by UPSC, and I'll tell you how to write. Right? You may find that these two questions are different. Right? You may find that these two questions are different. The people or aspirants get confused. Sir, the questions are different. How the answer can be same? I'll tell you. Right? Because the essence is same. I'll tell you that the entire idea behind writing this answer is same. So entire Western political thought is the footnote of Plato, and Western political thought can be either Platonic or anti-Platonic, but it cannot be non-Platonic. Right? So Aristotle no doubt was the disciple of Plato. Aristotle was no doubt the disciple of Plato, and Aristotle reformed Plato rather than destroying Plato. This is the best, this is what you need to understand, that Aristotle did not destroy Plato, Aristotle reformed Plato. Right? He reformed Platonic thought, he basically explained Platonic thought better. And when we talk about this Platonic thought is dependent upon Socratic thought. This Platonic thought is dependent upon Socratic thought. This Platonic thought is dependent upon Socratic thought. And what is this Socratic thought? What is this Socratic thought, and how this Socratic thought emerged? Right? So Socrates is considered to be the wisest man alive ever. Socrates was considered to be the wisest mind or wisest individual who lived ever. And the entire idea of Socrates was based, or the Socrates was the prominent thinker or the proponent or the emerger, or he basically formed the concept known as dialectics. And who formed further theory on dialectics was Plato. Who further used dialectics was not just Plato and Socrates. Who further used dialectics was Hegel. Who used dialectics was Marx. That is why I am telling you, that is why I told you that entire Western political thought is a footnote of Plato. Because what Plato used, Hegel also used. What Plato used, Marx also used. No doubt the thoughts, the ideas were different, but they used what they explained. So what is the understanding of dialectics? So dialectics basically means the understanding of conversation. Right? That it is a process. Right? So it is basically a process through which we arrive at a true knowledge. I'll tell you a story. I'll tell you a story which Socrates explains. There was an individual by the name of Meno. There is an individual by the name of Meno. So Socrates took one of his slave. Socrates took one of his slave to have conversation with him. Right? Socrates took one of his slave or one of his shepherd to have conversation with him. So Socrates talked to that particular person, and Socrates started to talk, and they continued to have conversation. Socrates spoke something, the slave spoke something, and this basically was continuing a conversation. That is what we say is argument, and then there were counter arguments. There was argument, then there were counter arguments. Right? And after argument and counter argument, what it resulted into synthesis. Right? As Hegel used it, was synthesis, was thesis, antithesis, and synthesis. And this cycle, sir, continues. This cycle never ends. And Socrates used this idea. Socrates was the proponent of this idea. So what I was telling you about the story of Meno. So Socrates took one of his slave and had a conversation with him, because Socrates wanted to explain that dialectics can provide you with anything, because dialectics is an option, or having arguments, counter arguments, or discussions is an option that you can reach true knowledge. His process was of dialectics was to reach true knowledge and filter out opinions or beliefs. Filter out opinions or beliefs, right? Opinions or beliefs are basically not true. They said, Plato and Socrates said that the opinions and beliefs are not true. They are just a reflection of idea. They are reflection of truth. They are not truth. So Socrates said that via dialectics you can reach true knowledge. So what he did, he had a conversation with that slave, and after a point of time, slave explained to Socrates Pythagoras theorem. Right, Socrates said that slave, we were having a conversation about mathematics, we were having a conversation about ethics, and after a point of time the slave explained the Pythagoras theorem to Socrates. Socrates said that you have never been to school, how did you understand Pythagoras theorem? Slave said, sir, I was talking to myself, I was analyzing, I was understanding, and while I was having a discussion with you, I thought that this was the reason behind Pythagoras theorem. So what did Socrates tried to explain? Socrates tried to explain that everything is within you. True knowledge is within you. You have to find that true knowledge by the process of dialectics. That when you will have conversation with me, I will have conversation with you. So we will have arguments, counter arguments, thesis, antithesis, and then we'll come to a conclusion. That is the entire purpose of the dialectics, and that is why I tell you, that is why I told you yesterday as well during the webinar, that what I believe is in discussion. The reason I believe in discussion, the reason that once the batch starts properly, or you will get enrolled into the batches, you will find that the conversation is a lot in our classes. Why? The reason that the conversation is a lot in our classes is because dialectics. This is the best way to understand a concept, because I love doing discussion about the subject and I love doing discussion about the concepts. Right. So Socrates said that true knowledge is within you. Plato adopted this idea. And Plato also formulated his theory of education and theory of idea on this concept of dialectics, that the true knowledge is within you. Right. True knowledge is within you. So Plato also derived on this idea. Now, if you say that Socrates was so intelligent, so what happened? Now, what happened was that Socrates was intelligent. Now, Socrates, during the time of in the Greek society, the people do not like wise minds. Everywhere in the world, people do not like minds. You look at India, many of the times you will see that the intellectuals or the writers are at the target of the government, because the government never likes wise mind, because the wise minds can create multiple ideas into your brain. Okay? Many of our scholars are in jail. Not now, earlier, previous government did the same. Our scholars were in jail, our intellectuals were in jail. China, same. Russia, same. USA, same. US is also same. There is not, oh, it is a Western world, oh, it is same. Similarly was Greece. So the government or the people did not like Socrates being so wise and talking about dialectics and changing the world. So they forced Socrates to drink poison. At that time, Greek was run by democracy. And they forced Socrates to drink poison. There was a tradition in Greece that it was said that you can have a last wish before you die, and even the Greece city, or it had also an option that if you want to leave Greece and go out and promise that you will never come back, they will not kill you. So the students of Socrates, they planned an escape route and said, sir, we will take you somewhere else where you are respected. Socrates denied. Socrates said that I'll die out in my own country, I'll die here, and drank poison. So from one idea, from this particular act of Socrates, Plato realized two things. First, Plato realized that state is supreme. Second thing that Socrates realized, that democracy is the rule of ignorance, and it is the worst form of government. And he despised this. He, according to Plato, democracy was the worst form of government. Right? Democracy was the worst form of government. He said that the state is supreme. Considering this idea, Plato tried to establish the idea of ideal state. He established the concept of ideal state. I'll tell you how he established this idea of ideal state. I'll explain you. Right? So, Plato explained this idea of ideal state, and he said that such ideal state shall be there where the rulers are not ignorant. He said that the rulers shall not be ignorant in ideal state. The rulers in the ideal state should be philosophers, so they can respect the philosophers. So Plato tried to establish that ideal state where the philosophers are respected, where the people are respected, and where the ideas or where the thoughts are respected. So he tried to create that kind of ideal state. So I'll tell you why and how. यहाँ तक किसी को कोई doubt? Up till here, any doubt? Please tell me yes or no. Are you enjoying the lecture? Yes or no? Great. Yes, Minakhi. Yes, tell me, Minakhi. What is the doubt? Minakhi, आपने हाथ खड़ा किया हुआ था. What is the doubt? No doubt. By mistake, no issues. No issues. So, so for continuing further. So today we will have a class up till here. Many of students have doubts, so they want to talk to me as well. Why? I'll tell you, Aditya, why he said that it was the worst form of government, but I'll tell you, don't worry. So before everyone is here, I have to make some couple of announcements. So wait, first I'll tell Aditya's doubt and then I'll make the announcement. First thing is that Aditya, why he said that democracy is the worst form of government? Because democracy did not respect his guru. They forced Socrates, the wisest man on earth, to die. So they do not understand they do not respect philosophers. And further I'll explain you when we'll discuss his idea of ideal state, right? So I am giving you certain numbers: 7986021840. Those who were asking my number, this is my number. My name is Anuj Sharma, as you all know. So if you have any kind of academic doubt, regarding the syllabus, regarding the preparation, you can drop me a WhatsApp. Those who want to join the course or those who want to know the fees, etc., they can drop the message on this, that what are the installment procedures, or how to deposit the fees, from where you will get the course, each and everything. You can drop the message on these numbers which I am writing. That is the name of Sheetal ma'am and Anju ma'am. So you can note down these numbers. If you have academic doubt, drop a message on this number. If you have someone was asking, sir, where to deposit fees, how to deposit fees, so they will tell you. Right, they will tell you. Right, so I hope you enjoyed the lecture. मैडम लोग एडमिन टीम के हैं सर, मैडम लोग एडमिन के हैं, दे आर फ्रॉम एडमिन टीम. श्वेता, they are from admin team. I hope you enjoyed the lecture, everyone. Anonymous attendee, you drop me a message on this number. I'll tell you, drop a message on this number. So I hope I see you tomorrow. As well. Right, I hope I see you tomorrow. So thank you very much. Up till then, take care. All the best. See you tomorrow.